Here are the late night laughs.
People are just pouring into this country from Mexico, and a lot of them are very bad hombres.
Oh, bingo! I got bingo. Sorry. I've been playing all year, and I got it. I had bad hombres, rapists, Miss Piggy. They're all living in hell, and if she wasn't my daughter, I'd be happy to talk about the last 30 years.
Oh, no, not again.
Back in the 1970s, I worked for the Children's Defense Fund.
Yes, we know.
Then I was a senator in New York on 9/11.
Yeah, we get it,
And then I was Secretary of State, and I don't know if you've heard this before.
We have.
But I was instrumental in taking down a man by the name of
Osama bin Laden. Bin Laden, yes.
This whole thing is rigged. All of the newscasters are making me look so bad.
And how are we doing that?
By taking all of the things I say and all of the things I do and putting them on TV.
I love that one, and I apologize.
That is very good. All right, time now for Newsroom with Carol Costello. Happy Monday, Carol.
That made me laugh, and there's no such thing as Happy Monday. You guys have a great day. Newsroom starts now. And good morning. I'm Carol Costello. Thank you so much for joining me. Election Day, just 2 weeks from tomorrow. Can you believe it? A key development taking shape right now. Early voting underway across much of Florida, a state that Donald Trump has to win to have a shot at the White House. And as one new poll shows, his struggling campaign falling even farther behind. Trump is in the middle of a 3-day blitz of that state. His running mate, Mike Pence, is in North Carolina. Among the Democrats, Hillary Clinton teams up with Senator Elizabeth Warren. Tim Kaine stumps in South Florida, and Vice President Joe Biden has 2 stops in Ohio. I got lots of people with me myself. CNN's Jason Carroll's at a polling place in Miami. Jeff Zeleny looks at the 2-week spread ahead. But Jason, I want to start with you because early voters are already on hand. Jason, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Carol. You know, if history serves as any guide, half of all voters here in the state of Florida expected to cast their votes during early voting. The candidates know this. They know how important this state is. You have Tim Kaine campaigning in the state today. We saw Donald Trump in Naples yesterday, making 2 stops here in the state today. Behind me, you can see some of the voting stations set up here in downtown Miami. We've seen a steady stream of voters coming in this morning. Want to bring one of them in for you right now, Olivia Martin. Olivia, step right in. I know that you made a very good point to me. You said you wanted to come out here on day 1 of early voting, given all that you've seen and all that you've heard during this campaign.
That's right, I sure did.
Tell me why. I mean, you said you wanted to vote for Hillary Clinton. You wanted to make a statement about women and voting.
That's right. I wanted to be here on the first day that we could do it. I really am patriotic to my country, and I've been for Hillary since the get-go. I'm so happy she's running, and I know that she's going to win.
And give me your sense also, if you will, about the nature of the campaign. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. You were saying some things about the discourse between the candidates.
I think that, unfortunately, it's turned so negative, and so many people are so disappointed with our elections now because, unfortunately, I think Donald Trump has really made such a statement of negativity, and I really am positive about our country.
And Hillary Clinton's trustworthiness, that was not an issue for you, that she's been criticized?
Not really, no. I think he is far less trustworthy than Hillary.
I see. Thank you very much. Olivia Martin coming in, one of those early voters here that we've been talking to out here, Carol. Election officials say that at this point, what they are expecting could be record turnout here in the state of Florida. Obviously, you've said it, you heard it here from Olivia, Florida, a key state in order to win the presidency. Carol?
That is absolutely true. Jason Carroll reporting live from Florida this morning. Neither Trump nor Clinton are taking their foot off the gas, though, as they barrel into the last 2 weeks of campaigning. They're racking up the miles and presenting their best argument to shore up support and win over those undecided voters, if indeed there are any undecided voters still out there. CNN's Jeff Zeleny is here with the final stretch of their campaigns. Good morning.
Good morning, Carol. Hillary Clinton is heading to New Hampshire today with Elizabeth Warren at her side. It's part of this all-out push by Democrats to keep one eye on cost a ticket here. But this morning we're also learning that Clinton is looking ahead. She's talking more about steps to plan what she increasingly believes will be her transition to the presidency. A 2-week fight to the finish. It's time for closing arguments. Hillary Clinton striking an optimistic note.
I want to be the president for every American. Democrats, Republicans, independents, people who vote for me, people who vote against me, because we've got to bring this country together.
Donald Trump, less so.
Are we glad that I started? Are we having... Well, I'll let you know on the evening of November 8th whether I'm glad.
With 15 days to go, Trump no longer talking about when he wins, but if.
If we win on November 8th, we are going to fix our rigged system. It's a rigged, broken, corrupt system.
Some people are sore losers, and, you know, we just got to keep going.
A wild weekend with Trump visiting Gettysburg for an unusual Gettysburg address, overshadowing the plan for his first 100 days in office by pledging to sue the women accusing him of inappropriate behavior.
Every woman lied when they came forward to hurt my campaign. Total fabrication. All of these liars will be sued after the election is over.
Trump campaign manager Kellyanne Conway bluntly acknowledging the uphill climb.
We are behind. We were behind 1, 3, 4 points in some of these swing states that Mitt Romney lost to President Obama. Chuck, our advantage is that Donald Trump is just going to continue to take the case directly to the people.
Trump undermining that acknowledgement.
Investors Business Daily, the most accurate poll from the last election and the 2 elections before that, just announced that we are leading nationally by 2 points. Numbers are looking phenomenal in Florida. Don't believe the media.
But a new ABC News national poll shows Trump trailing Clinton by 12 points. Meantime, CNN has learned Clinton is increasingly moving beyond Trump and turning her attention to her transition to the presidency. A Democrat close to Clinton saying she's not being arrogant, she's being diligent. Clinton is sizing up candidates for White House Chief of Staff. One top contender, Ron Klain, who led her debate team. All this as President Obama is tying GOP Senate candidates to Trump, visiting Nevada, one of the hottest Senate battlegrounds.
You're for him, but you're not for him. But you're kind of for him. What the heck?
Now, as Donald Trump continues a 3-day swing through Florida today, fighting for those 29 electoral votes he needs to stay viable, Hillary Clinton is heading there tomorrow in hopes of blocking his path. But she's also multitasking. I'm told she's already started quietly reaching out to old allies on Capitol Hill, including some Republicans whose help she will need. Her team is loath to talk about any of this publicly. Carol, over the weekend, she told reporters, superstitious, I don't want to talk about it, but she is planning for the transition. And Trump is too, we should say. He has a big transition team. We'll see which one gets to use.
Is he reaching out to Democrats?
I don't think so. He's at too many rallies to do that.
All right, Jeff Zeleny, I had to ask. Thanks so much. The executive editor of CNN poll of polls. Isn't it premature, though, to say this?
Yeah, look, Carol, I mean, the bottom line is that if the race... Trump would lose, and we've seen that in this electoral maps. Not only CNN's, but just about every other news organization shows that she would surpass the 270 electoral votes needed. But you know, there is still some time for Donald Trump to make up some ground. I think it would be very difficult right now for him to actually win this election. But who knows? I think this has been a campaign of surprises, and who knows what's in store over the next few weeks.
It certainly has been a campaign of surprises. So Abby, Kellyanne Conway, who is Trump's main woman, right? She's his campaign manager. She said over the weekend that Trump is behind. She admitted that, but did she say that to sort of energize those Trump voters, or did she say it in a depressing kind of way?
Well, I think Kellyanne tends to be a little bit more realistic about some of these things than perhaps her boss, Donald Trump. And I would add to what Mark said, which is that the election day is being held today. You know, people are going to the polls right now. They're casting their ballots right now. And so in some ways, the project of turning this campaign around for Donald Trump needs to have begun maybe yesterday and continue on into today, because every day that goes by, people are making determinations about where they stand and how they want to vote. And the Trump campaign, I think Kellyanne Conway in particular, knows that and understands that it's going to take a really significant event in this campaign to turn that around, you know, with just 16 days left before November 8th.
So everybody keeps talking about this enthusiasm gap, but if you look at the numbers in that new ABC poll, Mark, Hillary Clinton's voters are now more enthusiastic than Donald Trump's. How important is this?
It's very important, but you got to peer it to what is going on in the ground in the Get Out the Vote operation. And Democrats have invested an incredible amount of time, an incredible amount of money over the past couple of years trying to build operations and organizations in these key battleground states. We haven't seen the same on Donald Trump's side. Now, he will be buttressed by the fact that the Republican National Committee, Carol, has tried to do so. You know, they have tried to put organizations up, but still, Democrats have an advantage when it comes to getting phone banks together. You know, folks who are out on weekends knocking on doors and what have you. That really matters, and you pair that with enthusiasm. That's pretty powerful going in the closing days.
Okay, so Abby, what can Mr. Trump do to bridge the gap?
Well, you know, it's about getting out his base, and I think that's probably what you see him doing so much right now on the campaign trail. He's spending a lot of time in these last few days at rallies. Over the past weekend, he visited, you know, maybe a handful of states, had 8 or 9 rallies. That's all an effort to sort of get his people out, because those are the folks who are actually showing up. He's filling very large rooms, thousands and thousands of people. That's not enough to win an election, but it's certainly an important part of the sort of get out the base effort. And also, his rhetoric on Twitter is so much about kind of ginning up this sense that the game is being rigged against him, and that you know, that there is sort of like this secret weapon that his supporters can be for him. And I think that might very well be effective for that, you know, 30 to 35% of the people who are Donald Trump's core supporters. The key really to win an election, you have to do more than that. You have to get out people who are not in your base, and you have to reach out to sort of the more moderate parts of the electorate, and that's the part that we haven't seen yet from Donald Trump.
Yeah, and talking to voters in Ohio last week, some people are completely turned off by Trump's talk of a rigged election, and that he's not going to like listen to, you know, the results of the people after November 8th. So there's that too. Mark Preston, Abby Phillip, thanks for joining me this morning. Still to come in the newsroom ahead of Election Day voting, the scrambling. Some Republicans not just facing their opponents, they got some major reinforcements.